Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
They know the ins and outs of everywhere we're going. They will protect you. Horses, run! And they just like buck. I was like, what?
I feel like I got a great break on a used car. I thought that was a great quote.
This is war, Marcus.
He's going to the bathroom. Are you in his house, you little psycho? Oh, get out of there.
Look, it's a giant womb.
Yeah, no. Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
What's up?
It's finally time.
Season 13.
It's been probably 7 seasons where we've been asked to do this film.
I don't know how long ago that this first started. I don't know. Maybe.
It's been a long time.
No, because 7 seasons ago was seasons. Maybe, yeah. It's been a while. So, yeah, we, one of our listeners, and I'm going to butcher your name, man, so I apologize, emailed us, messaged us on Instagram, berated us. No, he wanted us to do this movie, and we said we would. We said we would, but we've tons of movies that we want to get through. That it just whether if we forget that we said we would do it or whatever, it happens. But because our list continues to grow, and our list is at least 250 movies long. So that's what we work with here. So often it's very difficult to get requests in. But anyways, so he reached out to us, and I'm like I said, man, I'm gonna butcher your name, so I apologize. But Nick Pachico, I apologize, man.
Sure, you go for it.
Because I do not know. I should have asked. But anyways, he wanted us to do this movie. I had never heard of it. Butler had never heard of it. I mentioned it to somebody that I know, and he was like, "That movie, the Jason Patric." So he kind of knew about it, but I don't know if he watched it. So the movie we're starting off season 13 is The Beast of War. It was known as The Beast in 1988, but it was changed to call The Beast of War. So we are finally doing this episode. I do not know. I know my thoughts. I don't know Butler's. I don't know how this is going to end. If we don't like the movie, don't be mad at us, but we did do the movie. Okay. So we're doing the film and that's it. We're done. No more suggestions. But let me give you I'm been tasked with the synopsis this week. And then we'll get into the facts, and then we'll talk about the film. A Soviet tank unit led by Commander Daskal, I do not know his name, destroys a village in Afghanistan in 1981. Taj, a member of the village, vows revenge and pursues him along with the Mujahideen. Meanwhile, the radical Daskal turns violent against his unit when he murders the tank crewman for his Afghan ethnicity and leaves tank driver Koverchenko to be killed by the Mujahideen. I think I'm saying that right? Mujahideen? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Taj, however, offers Koverchenko sanctuary for his assistance against the unit. Koverchenko is also known as Konstantin throughout the film, so I don't know why we're using last names here. And I guess Butler was talking about how Commander Daskal was called by his first name, which both of us cannot remember. And they don't credit the first name in the credits. So
he's the only one they don't show the first name out of the whole group. Well, no, Kaminsky too, but come on.
Yeah. The Beast of War has a runtime of 111 minutes. It's rated R. Production budget of $8 million. It came out on Friday, September 16th, 1988. And I don't have any numbers for you in terms of its opening weekend business or its domestic business. But I can tell you worldwide it made $161,000. So you tell us. Production company was A&M Films and Bright Star Films, distributed by Columbia Pictures. So I told you it came out on the 16th of September. It went up against Pierce Brosnan, Charles Bronson in Messenger of Death. I watched all these trailers, by the way. 7 Hours to Judgment, Miles from Home, which is with Richard Gere, The Prince of Pennsylvania, which is with Fred Ward and Keanu Reeves. And Doing Time on Planet Earth. Prince of Pennsylvania, Keanu Reeves has a haircut, which one side is like my short hair, and the other side is long all the way down to his neck. I'm like, whoa.
Nice.
He kidnaps his father. Fred Ward's his dad. He kidnaps his dad so that he can make money or something. Amy Madigan's in it. She plays his lover.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, there's a lot of people in this movie. The week after, the 23rd, you had Dead Ringers, Kansas, Spellbinder, Sweetheart's Dance, Gorillas in the Mist, and Patty Hearst. You've probably only heard of Dead Ringers and Gorillas in the Mist.
Yep. I was going to say, this is not one that I've heard a lot of.
And September 9th, the week before, you had Moon Over Parador. Did you hear that? Do you remember that one? That's with Richard Dreyfuss when he's they think that he becomes the fake dictator of Parador. No. Oh no, he's not the fake. He plays two. I think he plays two different people. Oh man, I don't remember. Anyways, well, also Running on Empty because we did that movie.
I was gonna say that one. I know.
Running on Empty and then Some Girls. So this movie was directed by Kevin Reynolds. That name sounds familiar. It's because he did a couple of Kevin Costner films like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Waterworld, and The Count of Monte Cristo, which is not Robin Hood, but it's still a good movie.
Count of Monte Cristo might be a good forgotten cinema. It's got one of the best sword fighting scenes.
It's a good film. I like it. William Mastrosimone, apologize if I said the name wrong, wrote the movie. He did With Honors and the 92 TV movie Sinatra. Guess what that's about? Cinematography by Douglas Milson, who's done Breakdown, an episode we did here at Forgotten Cinema, yep. Highlander, Endgame, and Body of Evidence. Composer was Mark Isham, who was nominated for an Oscar for A River Runs Through It. He's also done The Accountant, 42, and the upcoming, I believe it's out already, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
By the time this episode comes out, yes, it will be out.
Excellent. Edited by Peter Boyle, not the Peter Boyle you think. He is nominated for an Oscar for The Hours. He also did Quills, 1408 as an episode we did, and the 2011 The Thing, which we both don't like.
Fun fact, in the 1408 episode, I believe you used the same joke. Not the Peter Boyle.
That we don't like. Oh, did we really?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. I'm consistent. Produced by John Fiedler, who's done Serial Mom, Copycat, and Cecil B. Demented. So this movie stars George Dzundza as Daskell, as Crimson Tide, No Way Out, Basic Instinct, the first season of Law & Order, to name a few. Jason Patric as Constantine. He was in Sleepers, Speed 2, Cruise Control.
We just talked about Sleepers.
We did. We were at a brewery where it was the location of a mental facility for people who were obviously had mental difficulties. And but as Butler so called it, an insane asylum, which we don't call anymore, Butler.
But that's what they called it back then.
They called it back then. But now it's boarded up. But they now have, it's also where they shot, I believe they shot outdoor scenes for the movie Sleepers, I believe. But the brewery now is open there, and there's still buildings that are boarded up, which was a little creepy walking back to the car when it was complete pitch black, but that's fine. But anyways, check it out. So Jason Patric also did The Lost Boys, obviously, and the movie Rush. Stephen Baldwin as Anthony Golikoff, who's from The Usual Suspects, Biodome, and the Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas.
Best known as Alec Baldwin's little brother.
It's better to know just the movies he's been in. Don't worry about what he's been doing lately. Don Harvey as Kaminsky, who's in Casualties of War, the movie Hudson Hawk, which we did, Butler.
Yep.
And the TV show The Deuce. Eric Avari as Samad, who's in Stargate, The Mummy, and Mr. Deeds. Stephen Bauer as Contage, and we'll get to that. Scarface, Primal Fear, and Traffic. And Dale Dye is in this movie. He served as a technical advisor for the film. The only time you see him is when he's dead. The helicopter crew chief that's dead when they drink the poisoned water. That's Dale Dye. Do you know who Dale Dye is?
No. Any
war movie, he's the guy with the white hair and the white mustache, and he's usually barking orders. He's in almost every single war film. It's fine. He's awesome, but it's just he's always
if you don't see Dale Dye,
has made a living doing this. Yeah, made a living. But good for him, man. Good for him. All right. Whew. Butler.
Yes.
Did you like this movie?
I will say we've been hounded to do this movie, and part of me wanted to not like this movie because we were told how good it was and how we should definitely do this movie. And usually our suggestions are just, hey, you guys should do this movie. And our opinions are left to our own. I'm not saying I love this movie, but this movie was okay. I don't see how this movie did so little.
Well,
it's a downer subject and it's a downer movie, but
it's also it's
not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
It's also very,
it's okay.
Not poignant. It's really difficult to watch this film and not think about what's going on in the world.
Oh, absolutely. I could not. Yeah. This is like
it's whoa. Like, geez. It's like, yeah. So it was like,
we picked the right or wrong time to put this
I don't like being spot on with movie picks like that, but but whatever. But I will say this in terms of why you don't think this did well. I'll tell you two reasons or one of my reasons. When the film started, David Putnam was the head of Columbia. By the time this was released, he was gone. And Dawn Steele was the head of Columbia. And usually what happens when the studio has a change, all the movies that the previous studio chief was like putting through, the new one's like, that ain't that good. And they just get shelved. I think the second reason is George Dzundza is not a lead for a movie. I'm sorry. He's not. I mean, he's a great guy, great actor, but he is not going to bring people are not going to this movie because he's in it.
Seats.
Right. And Butler you made the comment before we started this film that he was thin. He had lost 50 pounds for this movie.
Yeah. I've never seen him.
He's always been overweight, and he lost 50 pounds for this movie because he wanted to be in this film, and he's not bad in it, but he's not a leading actor. He's not bringing people into the movie. Now, here's the thing too. Maybe if he kept the weight off and he continued on that track, maybe he turns into that kind of actor, but he never did. So
sure, yeah.
And like I said, he's not bad in it. I mean, there are some stuff that we'll bring up that we'll talk about. This is going to be, I have some fact notes, but not a lot because there's not a lot available. So this is probably going to be more of a episode where we're just talking about the film.
Opinion piece.
Right. There were some moments in the movie that I enjoyed, like you had said, but I didn't come away from this film where I was like, holy cow, I cannot believe I never saw this. Like that was the setup to us watching this.
Yes.
And that might be our own personal issue, setting it up like that, hyping it up to like, oh, it better be good. We can, so that might be us hyping it up. And I'm not saying that I mean, as we talk about it, maybe we'll understand significant stuff that we didn't like. It wasn't something that really blew me away. Go ahead.
It's a Vietnam movie set during the Afghan war between the Soviets and Afghanistan.
That's
which are the parallels. And I know that reading the notes, that's what they were going for. But because of that, there are so many other classic, very well done Vietnam War films that do it better.
Well, here's the thing too. We're talking about a tank movie. I immediately think of Fury.
You can't not, yeah.
And Fury is great.
Fury is very good.
Yeah.
Great. Fury is very good.
But
Fury is very
really?
good.
Put it on the list. But anyways, I think of Fury when we think of this film.
Sure.
Granted, you don't have to put it on the list right now.
No, if I don't, I'm not going to remember. I'll be doing it when I'm editing.
So, not that I'm comparing it, but there's already moments in Fury where I like more.
Sure.
It's a different type of film in terms of the story they're trying to tell.
Do you think, though, that Fury borrowed anything from this film? Do you think whoever saw Fury watched tank films and this was
because it's a little bit, this movie is also has a lot of elements of what's not, because maybe can you say this movie has a lot of Moby Dick elements in terms of, it's not like Dzundza's fighting for the white whale or Daskell.
He's fighting for his ship, but in a way that's almost like his white whale. It's very Captain Picard not wanting to give up his ship for the Borg. It's very Custer's Last Stand. It's very much a leader not realizing the safety of his people over the mission at hand or the item at hand.
But here's the thing. He's a leader who makes the biggest mistake and they go the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. Right from the very start of the movie.
That never a comeuppance from his crew to him. They never, not the fact that they rebel, not that Constantine goes after him because of the Samad, killing Samad, nothing like that.
Right.
It's never revealed that they're in this mess because he went the wrong way. Even when the three of them, the three that remain in the tank are kicked out of the tank and they walk, they're just walking away. There's no comeuppance to him. Like, you put us in the situation.
I think he realizes it at the end.
That's for him, but it's not for anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
So, because even at the end when he buttons up, it's not a moment where I'm just like, he's facing his death proudly. No, he's still stubborn. He's
sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So he's still the villain. He's still the bad guy, and I don't feel anything for him.
No, yeah, he deserves to die from the very beginning of the movie.
But he's the one that made the mistake. But he's never he's never brought to bear that kind of his men coming back at him and saying like, you put us in this situation. It's just kind of like,
no, he should have died.
Yeah.
No,
I mean he does, but yeah,
he shouldn't have been left to watch your people lose the war. It's like, that's not what he's doing this for.
Right.
He's not doing it for the glory of Russia. He's doing it for the glory of him.
And it's a good thing you brought up Russia. I have a big problem with the fact that it's just American actors.
We talk about that a lot.
Well, here's the thing. At least I'm going to reference Hunt for Red October.
Sure.
In the Hunt for Red October, obviously, they're not Russian in the Hunt for Red October, obviously. But the way the film does it is they are speaking Russian in the beginning. And it has that awesome, and I think I've talked about this before on the podcast.
Yeah, Valkyrie does the same thing, which is really well done.
He's reading a poem in Hunt for October, and they're zooming in, and he's reading the poem in Russian, and then it stops. The camera stops. He, in mid-sentence, goes from Russian to English, pulls back, and now everyone's speaking English. It's the filmmakers telling you, yes, they are speaking Russian, but we are not presenting it that way. Perfect.
Valkyrie does the same thing. Tom Cruise writing the letter, narrating it, same thing.
Perfect. It doesn't just pretend that it's not Russian, that they're not Russian. And this movie is just like, nah.
You get the one tagline, 1981, Russian.
Exactly.
Done.
And it's like, and I get that. I get the note where somebody could be like, "Oh man, give it a break." Okay, fine. But I'm sorry, but the fire commands and the terminology that they use in the tank crew is the same used by the U.S. Army. I'm sorry. I know we all both have tanks, but there's not the exact same thing. So if you're using U.S. Army tank commands and terminology, you're just completely discounting the fact that they're Russians. So I don't like that at all. I was not a fan of that. I was not a fan of just like the assumption that we're just, they're speaking.
Take the word,
Yet you have the Afghani people speaking excuse me, I know that's not the language. They're speaking their language.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you do it there. Why don't you do it for us? And now that I've talked about the Afghani people, let me talk about my other problem with the film. Stephen Bauer is Cuban. He is not from Afghanistan. And it's really,
he's the lead, the hero.
Really, really difficult to watch him do this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's 1981, and that's not
through
something
a 2022
You're
lens.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Even back then, though, it's like he doesn't look the part.
He doesn't. You could tell he's out of place.
He's very out of place within the rest of the cast, which is surprisingly well cast as actual Middle Eastern actors, except for that one guy.
To be fair, he's not bad in it. Like he not
does
bad.
A good job. No, yeah.
But it's just
miscast.
It's yes. I think it's. I get it. I understand the argument. Well, it's 1981, Mike. Who are you going to put in there that's going to bring money in? I understand that argument.
Is Stephen Bauer really going to bring money in, though?
No, I get
You've already
you.
got George Dzundza.
Well, Stephen Bauer is a face, though. You've got people in here that are known people. Now, it's an $8 million production budget, so you've got people that can be affordable, but you still know them.
Yeah.
So I get that. But it's watching it 40 years later, it's really difficult to kind of relate to it because you're just like, come on. I mean, you know, we just come off watching West Side Story. You know, I did.
Right.
You know, and I understand. While I understand the original is a classic, they do a lot of stuff in the classic to make people look and appear like they're Puerto Rican.
Yes.
But in the new one, obviously, no, you don't do that, and it just makes it infinitely better and correct in the right way. But I just couldn't. You know what I mean? But it's also, I mean, I'm saying this right now, but like I'm also know that Stephen Bauer's in Scarface and Al Pacino's in Scarface, and Al Pacino is not from Cuban descent. In Scarface, he's supposed to be Cuban, right?
Cuban, yeah.
He's obviously an Italian American, so I understand that older movies are differently. I get that. That's fine. It's just a little off-putting. That's all.
It's tough when you don't like represent. Not like you don't represent the character, but you don't even look the character.
Right.
I'm all about acting is acting, but there are certain times where you cast somebody who's a different race or gender or something. It just like it doesn't really fit.
Unless that's the point of the movie.
You out of the film.
Unless that's the point of the film.
Point, which in this case it's not.
Right.
But he does do an okay job.
No, he's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with any of the acting in the movie. I don't know what it is. I don't have a problem with it. I think the movie's a little too long. Maybe 10 minutes too long.
It is. It drags a tiny bit in moments because they go over the same thing again.
Right.
It's 3 guys or 4 guys, 5 guys at the beginning of the tank. But they go over a lot of the same kind of issues. The tank's losing gas. The tank's running out of petrol. The tank's overheating. The tank's been overheating for a while. When is it actually going to overheat? When is it actually running out of gas?
They keep showing the leaking oil, and
the payoff never really comes.
Exactly. The only time a payoff ever comes when he throws the fire because it's leaking gas because he finally throws the turbine under the thing, but he's been leaking oil for a good 30 minutes already. Right. It leaks oil, I think, before that first helicopter even arrives. What did you think about the killing of Samad?
I mean, I saw it coming.
Oh no, 100%.
In terms of that, it just.
But it doesn't. Here's the thing with that. I don't understand how Constantine can see how the captain,
He's
the
gonna
commander
kill-
has lost it, but the other two don't, and they don't ever.
The guys don't care, or they're too scared. They don't think for themselves.
Right.
You know, Golikov, Stephen Baldwin's character, is too dumb, and Kaminsky is just
High on brake fluid.
Yeah. So I don't think they care, and I think Kaminsky definitely is a little racist as well, kicking Samad and smacking him around, just taking maybe Daskell's kind of lead on that.
Yeah.
But my thing is, how does Samad not see that Daskell's going to kill him?
Yeah, I don't get that. He just doesn't understand that he's obviously sending him out there into the water to get shot.
You're going to. You had that full scene where you're just not breaking eye contact.
Yeah.
With him. Constantine tells you to get out of there because he's going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like once he says the sight, get out of there.
And you knew he was going to die too, because he has that moment when he tells him about how to ask for mercy, and that
that's going to be done
right.
later on.
And so that's his one. Let me impart this message to you so I can go get shot and die. Okay, see you later. and he's just I don't understand also Samad's devotion to the commander. I don't get not that when I say I don't understand it. I mean, it's not enough explained to me in the movie. Like, he's just like, I tried to prove myself. Why? This guy's a jerk off.
I get the same kind of thing. I get the motivation of you want to prove that the Afghan people can move into the 21st century. I get that, but I don't get why Daskell. Like, he is the worst representation of that.
Right.
Where you have Constantine, like, you can see what people were like. You went to university. I'm sure he had professors that were respectable. This guy is a nutcase from the very beginning. We see Daskell already, like, basically Marlon Brando putting water on his bald head. He's already at that place. He doesn't get worse. He's always the same level of crazy.
Yeah. It doesn't build.
Yeah. So why Samad goes under that water knowing he's going to die? Why he badmouths him. And then back. Oh, so do you think I'm gonna my child? Why should I go in the water? Like,
yeah,
get out of there, Samad.
Yeah, it's
And Constantine just lets it happen too. He's supposed to be so.
I don't get that either. Tensions are already high. They've already had this conversation. They've already had a problem with how he told them to take out the thing out of the book, the record, they've already kind of had a moment where
he didn't want to run over the guy at the beginning.
It's clear that there's a major thing between him and Constantine, and he's just on the rock writing down stuff away. Like he it's almost like he's going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And speaking of Constantine, and you brought it up, the whole thing in the beginning when they run over the guy, which is gross. And, even when they show the thing, I'm like, ugh, God, ugh, gross. But anyways, I thought that Constantine needed to be kicked out of the tank unit much earlier in the movie. I thought it was too late because he's got this developing friendship with Taj, and it goes so deep, but it's like too quick for that.
Yeah.
I needed almost like time pass. Like, he needed to be messed up. They take care of him. He said, you know what I mean? Like, he becomes, with the people, he wants to stay with the people. I understand why he leaves at the end, but because it's more of a statement of war against war.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really too fast.
For sure. Yeah. It should have been, if this movie is an hour and 40 minutes, 51 minutes, an hour 40 minus credits, he needed to be, 45 minutes into the movie, 50 minutes out with Taj. And instead, it's probably the last 25, 30 minutes he's with Taj.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely need another 20, 30 minutes with Taj to make it make sense. But then you have to change it to have the tank commander still out there blowing people up, and maybe the tank's not wrecked, but he's on a vendetta mission, and then the tank becomes Constantine's Moby Dick.
Yes. I think it's almost, I think it maybe needed to happen in the beginning. Constantine's betrayed right in the beginning, and he's injured, and maybe they have to take care of him, and then they get the chance. Then maybe it's like 6 months later
to take it back. But then also you run into Lawrence of Arabia territory.
I got you. But Lawrence of Arabia is an awesome film.
Right. Which is why you can't redo Lawrence of Arabia.
I understand.
Oh, they do. It's called Dune.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ending when he leaves Taj.
Right.
They destroy the tank, and Constantine gets rescued. And I know that it's supposed to be like he just doesn't want to fight. He doesn't like the war.
Yeah, it's not about like, oh, I'm betraying Taj. I don't want to fight with you. I don't believe in your cause. He still admires the Mujahideen, but
I didn't like him leaving.
I didn't like him leaving either.
I thought that's not. I thought that's not the path for the character yet. I thought that his role would be to go back with them, to be with them, and maybe in several months or
time,
he wants to leave, but him going back is he's just going to put right back into the army.
Leaving during the war makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're going to be re-put, and then you're going to fight his people again. You know, you have to choose a side there.
Yeah.
He's got no choice. He's in the Soviet Union.
I didn't think that was the right moment that he should have left. I thought he should have stayed, and him leaving is just kind of like, well, what was this all for? What was this, just your personal vendetta, and you really didn't align with the Afghan people and what they were trying to do?
Yep.
I didn't, or what to protect their land. I don't understand it, you know. And back to Samad, I don't get when he was telling the commander that we do need to go into the 21st century. We do need to be modernized. It's like, so that's why you're okay with another country invading you? Like, so that's like when he was trying to explain to him, like there's some of the messaging and the purposing of what people were trying to do in the characters. I just didn't buy
that part. I kind of liked,
but
I liked that.
I didn't get it. Maybe I didn't get enough.
That's just kind of like what it was. It's like every side has their own reasons. Like Dzundza is obviously, Daskel's character is a monster.
Yeah.
But you know why the Soviet Union's there? It's obviously for oil and gas. But
what?
Why the two sides are fighting? Like why Afghanis were partly on the side of the Russians and partly on the side of rebellion is that move into the 21st century, and showing that Samad's not a villain.
Yeah.
But neither maybe are the guys who end up becoming the Taliban after.
Well, that's our fault.
The whole thing I'm watching. Think of just of the end of Rambo. And going, so they're here, then they become villains. Well, they become allies to Rambo.
Yep.
And then they become.
Well, you should watch Charlie Wilson's War, because Charlie Wilson's War is about that. It's about how the United States was funneling money.
I do want to watch.
And they basically ultimately created the Taliban. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't help anything. But yeah. Well, okay. Let's talk about some stuff maybe we liked about the film. Let's not be complete jerks.
Sure.
Give me something that you really dug or you liked, moment, whatever it was.
I liked a lot of this film. I mean, it's got a lot of problems, which is why I said it was okay. I think that although I do think Daskel is, like I said, goes into like crazy pants territory right from the beginning. We don't know how long they've been stuck in that tank. We see that they've got all their kills already ranked up. And stuff.
Yeah.
So just kind of like in the movie Fury, they've already been together for a while.
Well, maybe they don't do a good job setting it up in this film. That's all.
Oh, I think we know that they've been together for a while, but they don't do a good job setting up Daskel's decline.
Okay.
But I think that, I think Golikov and Kaminsky do a really good job when they're fighting amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
The scenes between the two of them and Constantine, I thought those are like people stuck in a small space.
Sure.
Constantine picking and choosing his battles on when to be insubordinate, but at the same time following the letter of regulation.
Yep.
I think is interesting because he's not necessarily rebelling or mutinying. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to, but in a way that pisses off Daskel because it is being insubordinate to his illegal activities almost.
Mm-hmm.
And it pisses off obviously Kaminsky because Kaminsky's always high on brake fluid.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, what I do is I filter through the bread, right? And then I put some raisins in it, some sugar, and I put it out in the sun.
And then like, we don't have any brake fluid. And it's like, you never have any brake fluid anymore. So
and yet you keep breaking.
What happens? So we're just going to oh no, we found a stash. Okay.
Nothing for 3 days. They're okay. We're about to run out of gas before we get over the cliff.
Yeah.
And then they have enough gas to get themselves, I guess they regas when the helicopter gets there.
That's it. They just get gas. They don't get brake fluid.
I'm sure you can't stop. You're leaking too at the same time. They never fix the leak.
Yeah, I know.
But I think the relationship between them is really interesting and really well done. I like the scenes between Taj and Mustafa.
Oh,
the scenes between Mustafa, his cousin,
Mujahideen.
And Taj for the Mujahideen.
Yeah. I
think that's really good. I think Mustafa's a very interesting character.
Yep.
He's fighting for his own self, kind of. He doesn't care about the Afghani people.
Yeah, I don't.
Or, the ways
he's fighting to scavengers.
A bunch of scavengers. Who they just happened to team up with.
I thought that they didn't like. That's another thing. I thought that was a missed opportunity. Was Taj's was his uncle? That whole thing with him and his uncle, and then when they go off to fight with Mustafa, that whole thing just kind of wasn't. It was almost surface deep, and I thought there was more interest in that story a little bit. I mean, to beef up a little bit more, that they could have done I think there was stuff there that was interesting.
If you had a longer movie, maybe.
No, I get you. It's a different film.
If
too.
Constantine
That's a different film.
joined them maybe earlier on, you could have had more of that.
Right. And plus, Constantine joining them early on is probably also a different film than what we got. I mean, this is more of just like a hunting. It's a revenge film.
Very much so, yeah.
I mean, because the opening scene, they're just like poisoning wells, shooting goats, running over people. I mean, it's like pretty harsh. I did like the tank turret POV stuff when they were blowing away the huts in the beginning. They were just showing I thought that like in terms of stunt work and action work and squib work and all that stuff, I thought that was pretty cool.
The fireworks in this, like the fire effects and all that, were really nice. I like the fact that they added water to the tank rounds to really give it that push as opposed to a blank.
Right. They were 90 millimeter blank shells were modified to fire a weight of water out of the tank's cannon to have the recoil when they fired. Yeah, so they're just shooting water. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. This tank is also an authentic Soviet T-55 tank that was captured by the IDF during the Arab-Israeli conflict that Dale Dye had to negotiate the purchase of over drinks with the Israel Defense Forces officers in Tel Aviv. I mean, he's just like, so listen, guys, we're making a movie. So this film was shot in Israel. So just
they thank Israel at the end of the film.
So this shot entirely in Israel. So I thought that was an interesting.
It does give it a nice Middle East look to it as well.
Well, I mean, it's just desert. So I mean, it's just rocks and desert.
But it doesn't look like a quarry, which a lot of films would look like, or the same quarry kind of repainted or repaved.
They talk about a couple times where they're like, we got to get to the pass. We got to get to the pass. And we're going to cut them off at the pass. This is at the end.
Right.
And then we get to the pass at the end of the movie. But before that, they're running at them in the open desert. And they're like, let's go. It's like, that's not the pass we're cutting them off at. You're cutting them off at in the open desert. So I didn't get that.
I thought the same thing was because he showed mountains like going over the cliffs.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought the tank would stall, but we might be missing a scene there.
I do
like that they poisoned their own guys.
When they poison the water?
Yep. I was like, yes.
Well, because they're not supposed to. They weren't supposed to poison that. They're only supposed to poison wells. They poisoned the water to trap them, and they screwed up. Yeah, no. And that's the other thing, too. Daskell knew that they were searching for water, and he never told them, hey, by the way, I poisoned the water thing down there.
Yep.
So he never said anything.
So he's just kind of setting them up to die.
But in that moment, so that scene, too, prior to that, when they poisoned that little water area, the little puddle or whatever. Not puddle. What would you call that? Not a pond. It's too small for a pond.
It's a little
oasis
thing. Yeah.
So the guys are buried. The one guy drinks from it and dies, and they figure that out.
Right.
And they bury him. They're tending to him, and the tank's not that far away. And let's get out of here. And I'm like, they don't hear the tank. They don't hear the tank moving. I mean, like they're not. I know they're not that far away, and the tank. Like they don't hear that
far away. I don't know.
I don't know. That was something that was a little off for me.
You never know exactly how far away they are from the tank. And I don't know if I really liked the plot of the women.
I was going to bring that up
when they appear at the end.
I thought the women, the Afghan women that were basically following them and, out for blood, doing what they couldn't do. I thought I was interested in that. I didn't mind. I loved the fact when she comes back at the end with the blood all over her face.
I'm sorry.
Only caught one. Yeah. I was just like, oof. I don't get why. I understand why Taj is mad at them, but not that level of mad.
Because I think at that point, which again is part of the relationship between Constantine and Taj, is Constantine wanted them to be free. And Taj was like, no, this guy is now my friend. Let's let him be free.
Yeah.
And she completely just possibly ruined the friendship.
Maybe
which
that's what made
does.
Yeah.
When he's about to leave in the helicopter, it's really seeing Daskell's bloodied boots and shirt that he's just like, screw this. I don't want this anymore. I'm going.
Yeah. But this is what it is. But the other thing too is, I mean, this is probably just an oversight, but when they first come up in the Constantine and he's tied up, and the women are throwing rocks at him, they're hiding their face, obviously, because they're not supposed to let him see their face.
Yeah.
That's part of their culture. But the second time, when they come back with all the blood over him, she ain't hiding her face, and he's there. And it's just like, okay, so is he accepted now? Is he part of your...
I think at that point, yeah.
But see, that's the thing, too. It's like, we already talked about how it's too quick.
Sure.
So, but if it wasn't too quick, I would have liked more.
Plus, I think she really enjoyed the fact that she had the blood all over him.
It's a nice moment. Like in terms of a cool film moment.
Not just in terms of film, but in terms of like what she's thinking is,
sure.
Screw you. This is what I did. I don't care that you said let him go.
Yeah.
That's why she says, sorry, I only got one. She says it all sarcastically.
He ran over her fiance, pretty much.
I get her reasoning. I'm just saying this is why she's doing it. So she doesn't mind showing the blood on her face because she wants to show it.
And her fiance was a little older. He was a lot older than her.
It's who she was promised to. It's just
God,
the culture, man.
Yeah, I hear you. What do you think about, so at the end of the movie, and I honestly think this line is probably what they were trying to say throughout the entire film was, how is it that we're the Nazis now, sir? When he says that to him. Yes. Agreed. I mean, they have that conversation about how he talks about how this tank was in Stalingrad and he fought the Nazis. And
not this tank, but he was doing tanks.
Right,
he was
right.
blowing up tanks in Stalingrad. Being lowered on a rope.
And then, it's like, and then Jason Patric or Constantine says like, how is it that we're the Nazis now? So it's so like, you just want Daskell to roll his eyes and just say, shut up. Like it's so like, oh, come on.
Oh, we're the bad guys.
Do you feel? Yeah, I know. Do you feel? I do feel like that line was like the whole basis of the movie.
Oh, you think the guy wrote that line first? It'd be we never got to get up to this moment.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, like,
this was a writer patting himself in the back of Starbucks, going like, yeah.
But this is, and here's the other thing too. It's like, okay, fine, but we're only witnessing this war by one tank who's gone lost.
Yep.
Who's done who is just lost now, and
completely
they're just
messed up their mission.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And now we're just basing this tank's experience on just making a statement about the whole war. Listen, the whole war was dumb. It was terrible. War is terrible. But like, we're taking this one story and we're broadly brushing the entire war with this.
Sure, yeah.
And Jason Patric's experiences in terms of like the totality of war, while are justified when you think about war and you think about what happened in the movie, it's nothing that we've seen. You are basing that on what we're supposed to remember in our life in terms of history.
Yeah. And
that's a tough thing for a lot of audiences to do, because you're just giving them the story and you're requiring them to be like, did you guys read the last 3 chapters in the assigned reading for the history now? Okay, good. Now watch this film. So
also, what audience? The movie made like $100,000.
Well, that's what happens in films when studios stop believing in films. I don't know if you put this movie out in theaters. Now we're talking 81, so a wide release isn't a wide release as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you put this film out. I mean, this is probably a film that's got to get word of mouth. But again, it's got a lead in it. Like Jason Patric is not even. When was Lost Boys? 80.
Before this, for sure. Yeah.
No, this is 88, right?
Yeah.
I said 81. I'm sorry. I meant to say 88. So 84, 85, I think was Lost Boys. I think Lost Boys was 84 or 5. Why do I think 85? But anyway, so he's a bigger.
Lost Boys 87.
So damn it!
Right after.
Wow, Michael, he's a bigger name than Dzundza right now.
It's true. I'm surprised Dzundza got for top billing.
And this is not, again, I need to reiterate, I'm not saying that he's bad. He's a bad actor. He's just not somebody that
is putting
in 1988. You're coming off, you want to go see a movie you're not seeing it because he's in it. You may see it because Jason Patric's in it. Stephen Baldwin's not Stephen Baldwin we know when he blows up as used for Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
And these other people are facing. Stephen Bauer's a face. Don Harvey's a face that you've seen in other films, but they're not exactly
names. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's. I think it suffers from not a strong lead. Now, a strong lead may make this movie a $15 million film, not an $8 million film. So maybe that's why you're doing it. But I think that probably didn't help.
For sure.
The Hungarian version of this film corrected the errors of the Americans acting like Russians, and they also included like dialogue and jargon. I guess that's the word they used.
Say the right words
about to talk about the Warsaw Pact and everything. So it kind of felt. I almost want to see this film, and I'm sure there's other films that are about the war in Afghanistan from when the Russians invaded. In terms of I'm sure there's other films out there, foreign films that have done this subject matter. I'd almost like to see this movie remade, but from somebody from either from Russia or from Afghanistan, or a filmmaker that wants to tell this story.
Sure.
You know, that's a little bit more based in
what actually happened.
Yeah. Or no, just kind of like have the history behind it of like more authentic,
right?
A more authentic feel.
That's because like again, this is written by Americans. It's supposed to be just a riff on Vietnam without taking place in Vietnam.
Right. And it's also based on a real life, obviously an event, not the tank itself, but the war. I mean, when I reference Hunt for October, that's based on a book from Tom Clancy. So it's not like that's not anything that really happened.
Right.
So there's a little bit leeway in terms of what's happening in that film, but this is more based on, it's like historical fiction.
It's based on a play.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true too. You're right. The same writer wrote the play. Yep. Absolutely. Well, I wonder how that play was just in the tank.
Probably the entire thing take place in the tank. Maybe a little bit with Taj off scenes in like a cave, 2 sets.
I wonder if it's just focused on the tank crew. That'd be an interesting play to see how it's done.
It's probably done like in a smaller like black box theater.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, so would you? So this was obviously not recommended. I guess recommended to us. You could say that. Would you recommend this film to other people?
It's okay if you really like war movies. Absolutely, sure. It's shorter. It's a lot of war movies are on the longer side. Although I think this could still have been a little shorter. Like you said, about 10 minutes, because I think they talk about the same problems too many times. I think this is a decent war movie. I don't think we go off on what's wrong with it, but I think it's got a decent amount of stuff you could watch. It's enjoyable. There's some action. There's no right side, which is something I do like about the film.
There's never a right side in
At
war.
first, I'm like, when they crush the guy, I'm like, am I supposed to like these Soviet guys? And it's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Oh no, they're bad.
So I'm not supposed to like anyone, really. Let's go.
See, that's the thing too. Like even that scene with Constantine, he grabs his hair and he's like, "Go drive." It's like he should have stopped and said no.
Yep.
And they should have. That's when he should have been left there to die.
Yep.
That's the moment. I thought they were going to do that. I was like, oh, he did it. All right.
So yeah, I mean, I would still recommend this. Anybody who likes war films, but really, if you really like Fury, like I love Fury, I'd be like, well, check out Beast of War. It's similar. But that's about it.
I can't think of any of the tank films.
There aren't. There's a dearth of tank films. If you really like tanks.
the subgenre, the subreddit of
tank
of war movies is the tank film.
The scene from the end of The Last Crusade.
Oh, it's great.
Which, by the way,
Henry, the pen. It's mightier than the sword. This is war, Marcus.
H2. And they do a little slap.
Right, now we're going to talk about anything.
The gap that they stop at, I was like, is this the end of Last Crusade? This is the same cliff face? I thought I lost you, boy.
The man kneels before God. Sorry.
Bullets and tanks. Penitent. But yeah, that's about who I would recommend it to. I mean, I don't think there's anything overtly wrong about the movie. I don't think there's anything like overtly great about the movie, but if you like war films, check it out.
I could echo that. I believe. Yeah, I don't know, because I just watched a film. We had another suggestion from one of our listeners. So he wanted me to check out Suture, which was on Criterion Channel, and I did. And I talked to Butler about that a little bit before, off mic, as you will. And I'd say I'd recommend Suture before I'd recommend this film, because Suture has a lot of interesting things in there that I like to think about and to talk, and it's more of a thinking person's film. So I wouldn't really, it's not really like an action based film like this. This movie would be like if you're in the video store and you're like, let's just try this. Like, or like a good let's try this second film. It's only 111 minutes. Let's watch this.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those films that you're not, I think if you love film and you watch a lot of stuff, I think it's good to go back and watch this movie. Like I talked about the movies that came out that week, you know, Messenger of Death and 7 Hours Judgment, like movies we've never heard from, but like Miles from Home is a movie about farmers. It's almost like Hell or High Water, but it's with Richard Gere.
Sure. It's
about farmers like robbing banks, taking back. It's the same kind of idea. But like that was directed by Gary Sinise. And I was like, what?
Oh, really?
So it's fun. It's interesting to go back to older films and just see like people's careers and where they've gone and what happened in movies you never even heard of. Like I kind of want to see The Prince of Pennsylvania, even though it looks really bad. So in that respect, I think it's always good to go back and watch films that maybe, I'm going to say it again, people forgot about. I guess I would recommend this to people that I know watch a lot of movies, so I know that they'll give it a shot. I don't know if it's a movie I'd recommend for the casual moviegoer.
No, like I said, I gotta really like war movies.
Yeah.
Man, I really like Platoon, but there's been no movie since that I've watched. Well, you can watch this.
I mean, I know I joked about it a little bit about, if you have to read some history books in order to watch this film, but I would say if you're teaching a class about, and that you had the subject was this
you're
war
hungover one day.
This would be one of the movies like, Charlie Wilson's War, The Beast of War. These are one of the movies that say like, check it out because it's talking about what we're talking about.
It's also, it's also a point in war that no one ever makes a movie about, really.
Right.
Our invasion of Afghanistan, sure, but the Russians, you don't get anything about.
We don't. I mean, it's amazing. There's a whole world out there, Butler.
What?
I know, right?
I don't believe you. I look out at the beach and all I see is blue, man.
That's right.
Red, white.
Did you like Jason Patric in this?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I was expecting something a little bit more like, "Hey, I'm Jason Patric. I was just in the Lost Boys," but I think it is. He's a little too.
My blood flows in you, Michael.
I mean, I don't want to say he's too uppity, but he's a little more like he's much
learned.
Like he's learned, but he's a little too much. Like, come on, he's very antagonistic toward Daskell even from the beginning, which I don't think anyone would be that outwardly insubordinate.
Sure.
But yes, I do like him. I especially like him when he's working with Taj and stuff and they're trying to communicate with each other without words. I think that's all done very well. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of the acting in the film.
Yeah. Okay. I agree.
All the acting in the film is pretty solid.
Aside from casting, but yeah, I hear you. Which we talk about.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of discussed that.
Stephen Bauer does do a good job as
Taj. There's no bad acting. I think it's just, Okay, Nick, we did it. We did the movie. All right, we hope you liked what we thought.
We didn't hate it.
Not that we were going to. All right, Butler, where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. While you're there, check out all our other great podcasts and videos. You can also find us all over wherever podcasts can be found. Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, everywhere.
Are you guessing now?
Check it all out.
I think that's
while you're there, talk to us in the Forgotten Cinema lobby. Have any of you seen The Beast of War? Judging by its take, I doubt you have. But you can, I will say, you can rent this anywhere. It's not like, even though it didn't make any money, surprisingly, because it's made in 1988.
It's not in the 90s. Yeah, it's not a 90s indie film, so which pretty much have gone into a heaping pile of garbage no one can find anymore.
There are bigger films from the 90s we still can't find.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
It's like once it hits 1990, you can't find it. Yeah. But this is 1988, so you can find it wherever you rent videos.
Kind of bugs me. But anyways, so join us next week as season 13 kicks off and starts again in episode 2 of season 13. I don't know why I'm saying that stuff.
Yeah, nice.
So we're going to have a party. Project X from 2012. Woo! Not the one you're thinking about with Matthew Broderick and Helen Hunt. No, Helen Hunt. Yeah, she's the one in that. Yeah, it is Helen Hunt. So that's Project X next week from 2012. It's about the big time rave at a party. I hope you like. I hope we like.
You're the one who picked it, man.
Because because it's when you get older, like the high school films, it's tough to relate to them. Because you're just kind of like. So I was surprised when the movie came out in 2012, and this is what 10 years ago. So I'm 36. I was like, well, I kind of like this film. So maybe I won't as I get older. Maybe I'll think it's stupid, but that's next week, Project X. Until then, have a great week, everyone. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema.